welcome to my channel. If you're new here, my name is Teresa and I am documenting my knitting journey this year on YouTube. Today is actually the time for the 6th knitting podcast already. And I have a pretty standard format. We're doing finished objects, whips and acquisitions. And maybe just talk a little bit about what else is going on in the knitting life. Yeah, so let's start. The first thing that I finished is actually the Pamela bag. And I already made a video about it. If you watched it, you have already seen it. If you did not watch it, I will show it on here. It's this. It's a pretty small bag. I thought at first that it would be a tote bag, like the size of a tote bag. It was not. So yeah, but it's still very cute. I can put a link to the previous video of it somewhere here, so you can watch it if you want to see how the process of making it looked like. I made this bag actually with Phildar Phil Rustique yarn in the color acajou, and I used some cotton yarn that I sewed into the bag for the lining in this color. The pattern is actually very nice. It is a bit of a lace pattern which looks a bit like leaves. I will try to make it a bit more clear so you can see. And I really like this bag, but it is really small, so I don't really use it on a regular basis. I mostly just use tote bags to carry all my stuff in it. I just throw all of it in my bag and then just take it with me. But it was a really fun bag to make and to work on, and it was also very cool that it used sewing, knitting and crocheting. So I had multiple crafts going on in one project. I do think that I did some hand sewing on the lining, and I'm not really good at hand sewing. At least I don't do it that much. But one thing that is a bit of a shame is that the stitches in the lining are a little bit crooked, so they're not that straight, but the lining is in a little bit of a gray color and the stitching is in white, so you don't really notice it. But I will try to show you what I mean. I hope it's a bit clear, but that is something that I can work on the next time that I do lining in a bag or do hand sewing for some other projects. But yeah, it is really nice. I think I will mostly use it to carry like my phone and wallet in when I go somewhere where I don't need a lot of stuff. And yeah, I would really recommend to make this bag. I don't know if I mentioned that it is from Gregoria fibers, but it is from Gregoria fibers. I will link everything below as well. So yeah, really happy with it, and that's all there is to say about the first finished project. Then the second finished project is Camisole number 8 by My Favorite Things Knitwear, and it is this one. It is not blocked yet, but I will block it after filming this podcast. It was a really fun one to make. It is also the last camisole that I'm going to make this year, because it is getting cold, unfortunately, and it's not really camisole weather anymore. But yeah, I feel like this kind of cables is really nice. And actually the first thing that I made was sweater number 15 by My Favorite Things Knitwear, and I really love the cables on that one, and I thought maybe that I could make sweater number 15 again in with another yarn. But the thing is, with every project I want to do something new, so I really liked it and I've always thought about maybe doing it again, but I always want to do something new, so I was never really tempted to do it again. So I thought maybe next year. But then I saw Camisole number 8, which is basically sweater number 15, but in a camisole form. And when I saw it, I was in love, and I needed to make it. So I found the perfect yarn, which is Knitting for Olive cotton merino in the color mole. And I almost used up all of the yarn. I think there's like I will try to show you. There's only this much yarn left. While I was making it, I was constantly thinking that I maybe should get another skein of yarn, because I felt like it was very short, and I wasn't going to make it with the yarn that I had. But then I decided to make it a little bit more of a cropped version, because I wear high-waisted jeans anyway most of the time, so it wouldn't matter if it was a little bit cropped. And that worked, and now it is a little bit cropped. I will try to film a little bit how it looks on with high-waisted jeans. I will try to put a clip somewhere of me wearing it with high-waisted jeans, so you can see the fit a little bit better. But yeah, I feel like it worked out in the end. I didn't need an extra skein, and it still looks very great. The cables are still a bit tight though, as you can see. But I think after blocking they will be a little bit more like this. Just like they are on my sweater number 15. And then I think the first time I will wear it again will be next year in summer, or when it gets a little bit warmer again. But yeah, I'm really happy with it, and it is a very quick knit, so I would definitely recommend this one as well. This was also my first time working with Knitting for Olive cotton merino. I used the Knitting for Olive merinos for my first two camisoles. I did camisole number 4 and 5, if I'm correct. And I used the merino for those ones. And I always want to try the cotton merino, so I chose the cotton merino for this one. And I think the difference between the merino and the cotton merino is that the cotton merino feels a little bit more drapier than the merino itself. But I have to block this one to really see the difference between both of them, because the other ones are blocked and this one is not yet. So I will come back to it after blocking to tell you if there is a real difference. But for now I can just say that they are both very nice yarns. The Knitting for Olive yarns have a very luxurious feel, and for an okay price if you're just making camisoles out of it. Because if you just buy 3 skeins of yarn, which I needed for this one, it's not that expensive. So I want to invest in a nice yarn. And funny story, I started working on the camisole number 8 while going to Barcelona. And I did not knit a lot in Barcelona, but I took it with me to Spain. So this camisole has already traveled Europe for a bit. So that's also a fun memory that I have with this one. But yeah, that's actually everything that I can tell you about camisole number 8. And that's also my last finished object. Now I will talk a bit about my whips. I have 2 of them. And the first one is one that I already showed a bit in the last podcast. But I worked on it a little bit more, and now I'm almost finished with it. It's this one. It is the Kuntum socks, and I am working on the decreases for the toe, so it's almost finished. The Kuntum socks are a pattern by Amelia Putri, and they are from the 52 Weeks of Socks book. They are worked on 2.5mm needles, so I have them 2.5s from the Zing circulars. And yeah, they work up really nice. I will try to show you the lace a little bit more. The lace is really cool. looks like this. And I used the yarn that I used for these socks is the Schachemayr Regia print in the color pastel. And it is a really nice yarn. I also used it for another pair of socks, and I would probably use it again for another pair if I needed to. I really do like working with lace and doing lace patterns. So I'm really happy with the 52 Weeks of Socks book. Last month really was a sock month for me. I worked on a lot of socks. I think I finished 2 pairs of socks and then worked on this one as well. But this month I feel like I was more into the camisole mostly, and the bag. And also when I worked on one project, I was pretty monogamously knitting on it. So I worked on the bag, and I only worked on the bag, and then when it was finished I worked on the camisole, and when the camisole was finished I tried to work again on this one. And then I didn't want to work on this one anymore, and then I started a new project, and that's actually my second whip as well. So I will get it in front of the camera and show you. My second whip actually is the Sophie scarf from Petiteknit, and here it is. And actually I started this project because I wanted to stash bust a little bit. I worked on camisole number 5 a while ago, and I had a lot of yarn left, like this much yarn, and I looked it up, and it was enough yarn to make the Sophie scarf with. So yeah, I saw the Sophie scarf a lot on Instagram, and every time I saw it I was more tempted to make it, but I was pretty monogamously working on projects, so I didn't really feel the need to cast it on yet. But it was also always in the back of my mind, so I knew that at one point I would cast on the Sophie scarf. But yeah, I'm probably not gonna use it as a scarf, but more so as a headband, because it's not really my style to wear a scarf like that, like a small scarf around my neck, but it is my style to wear headbands, so I will probably use it like that. The yarn that I'm using, as I said, is from Stash, and it is the Knitting for Olive merino in the color putty, and I'm using it double stranded for this for the scarf. I do feel like I already spotted the mistake just now. If you look at it, right here. So I will have to frog it for a bit, but luckily this one works up very fast. I think I did this in like 2 hours. So that's pretty fast. So I'm not that sad that I have to frog it, because it will work up very fast to the point that I am now again. Yeah, it feels really good to use the Stash for this. Also, I found a new technique. I don't think like I'm an innovator with this or anything, but the scarf needed to use 2 strands of the merino, so I did an inner pull and an outer pull, so I have 2 strands from the same skein, which I thought was pretty genius, but probably a lot of people are doing it, because I don't think I am the first one to discover this. But yeah, I felt like it's such a genius way to do it, because then the normally when you do 2 strands of yarn with 2 different skeins, mine always get intertwined with each other, and it's a whole mess, and I have to keep an eye out for tangles and for both of them all the time, which is taking away from the relaxing element of knitting. So I think I'm gonna do this all the time, with every time I need to do 2 strands from the same kind of yarn. If it's like a mohair and a normal yarn, then of course you can't do it, because then you actually need the 2 skeins, but if it's possible, I'm going to do it like this every time. Okay, yeah, I think that's everything to say about the Sophie scarf as well. I think this will knit up pretty fast as well. It will probably be done in a few days. So I will post a photo on the Instagram again when it's done. I will put my Instagram somewhere here as well if you want to follow me to keep updated. But yeah, that's everything to say about the Sophie scarf, I think. Then the next thing is actually acquisitions, and I didn't buy a lot this month. I actually only bought one thing, but it is a very special thing, and I will share it with you. Like I said earlier in this podcast, I went to Barcelona for a weekend, and I visited some yarn stores there, and one of the yarn stores really was my favorite, and that's also the only yarn store that I bought something from. The yarn store that I am talking about is All You Knit Is Love, and I wanted to buy something very special, and I bought this skein. It is a little bit more pink in real life than it is on camera, but I cannot get the color correctly for some reason. I'm sorry. But yeah, it is hand dyed in Barcelona. And it is a sock yarn, for 2.5mm needles. And the owner also told me that his wife dyes every skein of yarn herself, and it was really cool to see that it was just a small family business, and that I would be supporting a small business, because I feel like that's really important to support smaller creators, smaller businesses, because they put in so much work, and I feel like it needs to be rewarded. Especially this place, the person in there was so enthusiastic about his shop and his yarn that I really felt like I wanted to do something to support it. So I did, and I looked on their website, and they do have a lot of other cool yarns, which I saw in the store, and they also have on their website. So I will probably buy again in their store when I'm going back to Barcelona, or I will just order it online because I liked it so much. Yeah, I don't have a pattern yet for this one, but I'm looking into the 52 Weeks of Socks book at the moment, and I want to make a pattern from that one again. But I don't know which one yet, because all my favorites I have already done until now, and the last one of my favorites was the Kuntum socks, which I showed you in the whip section. So I'm not sure which one I will do next with it, but I'm also actually looking at the ruffle socks from Petiteknit. So I might buy the pattern to make with this yarn, but yeah, we'll have to see. I have to finish the Sophie scarf first, and then I'm gonna think about this one. Another thing that I have to buy is actually a wool winder, because I bought this, and fun fact, this is also my first time I'm buying a skein like this, in a hang form, and also my first time buying hand dyed yarn. So yeah, a lot of first times here, but because I've never had a hang before, I don't have a wool winder, and also do not have a Swift. So I think I will have to buy the Swift and the wool winder to actually use this. I have to look up where I can find it, like secondhand or for a cheap price, because I don't want to spend a lot of money on like a very cool winder and Swift. I feel like I need ones that just work. and it don't really necessarily have to look good or be that fancy. So yeah, I will keep an eye out for that, and then wind this one. And I feel like a wool binder will also be very cool to wind up my scrap yarn very neatly, because it's now all in a box and it doesn't look very nice. So yeah, I will keep an eye out for that. Yeah, I think that's it for the sock yarn. I bought it at the All You Need Is Love store, as I told you. I also went to 2 other stores actually in Barcelona, the Miss Kids one and the Knit in Barcelona one. I also recommend going to Miss Kids if you're in Barcelona, because it is a really nice store and they have drops there. They have a lot of hand-dyed yarn as well, a lot of merino and also a lot of hand-dyed sock yarn, which is really nice. It reminded me a little bit of the Stephen and Penelope store that we have in Amsterdam. But yeah, I think if I did not buy anything at the All You Need Is Love store, I would also have bought something at the Miss Kids store, but I didn't want to spend that much anyways, and I thought to myself, I already have like a cool souvenir from Barcelona, so that was just it for me. But yeah, if you have more to spend, definitely also go there and check it out. The other store, the Knit in Barcelona store, was also nice, but I wouldn't go there again. I think it is very small. I think like 10 square meters, I feel like. And there were people knitting there, so I also felt a little bit awkward filming because they were on 1 meter distance beside me. But other than that, it was also a fun store. They had a lot of Katia brand yarn, which I feel like is a cool brand yarn, but yeah, not that special, not something that you can't get anywhere else. So yeah, that's about the Barcelona stores. Actually, one other thing, when I went back to the Netherlands, I actually lost my row counter. I think I lost it on the bus, because I was knitting on the bus for a bit and I used it there, and then when I came home it was gone. And the weird thing is, actually I looked under the seats and everything to see if I left anything there, and it was not under the seat, so I think it slipped in between the seats or something. But yeah, luckily row counters are not that expensive, and I can do it on my phone as well. But it is a bit of a shame, because I feel like I went through a lot of projects with my row counter, and it was always there right beside me, and now it's gone. So I'm missing it a little bit, but yeah, it's just an object. I will buy a new one eventually, but now I'm just doing it on my phone because it's easier for me as well. Then another thing that I am looking at the moment is I want to start on the Gemma polo soon, but I'm having trouble finding the right yarn. The problem mostly is that the yarns that I'm looking for, they do have the colors that I would use as a, like, I want to do it in like a neutral color, like white or gray or beige, and then like a more bold color like green or orange or red. And most of the times when I look at colors from the yarns that I want to use, they do have like the bold colors, but most of the time the neutral colors are always sold out. So then I have to look for another yarn where it is not sold out. And I've been looking for a lot of yarn. So they recommend the Super Soft by Lana Gato. And I looked it up, and it's they have some really nice colors, but for this one actually the neutral colors were sold out. I then looked at another one as well. I'm not sure which one it was. but that one has had the same problem with the neutral colors being sold out. And then I thought maybe I can use Drops Charisma, because I've never used that one. That was before I went to Barcelona. So I looked it up at the Miss Kit store, and I felt the yarn and it was a bit too prickly for my taste. So then I was like, yeah, I guess I'm not gonna buy this one either. So then I had to think about it again and look for another yarn again with the right weight. And I think I'm going to go for Drops Merino Extra Fine. The thing is, I already used it for 2 projects already, which is the Ingrid sweater and the Silly Slip Over, which are both from Petiteknit. But the thing is, it wasn't really my favorite kind of yarn. I felt it was a little bit too smooth. I don't really know how to describe it. I think if you use the yarn, you know what I mean. But it was a little bit too smooth, too stretchy. But I did do a swatch, and the gauge is right, so I probably will use that one. One advantage of using this yarn is that it actually is a lot cheaper than the yarn that I was going to use. So yeah, that's a big plus. But yeah, I will buy it when I'm going to start on it, which is not now at this moment. But yeah, I'm really excited for that one, because I really want to do a polo and sew buttons on my knit, because I've never did something with buttons. Then another thing that I am going to make in the near future is actually a dress. It is the Lunch at Tiffany's dress by Anne Catherine, and I did make something from her before, which are the cable shorts, and I really liked her pattern that she made that time, and her style. So I've been eyeing this dress for a while, but I never really felt like it was a priority to make it, and now I really feel like I keep coming back at it, at photos of it. I do follow the tag as well, so that's probably also why it keeps coming back. But yeah, I feel like it's such a cool design, and I really want to have a knit dress, and I never could find a nice knit dress in the stores. So I feel like now that I can make my own, I should. So yeah, that's actually it for the plans that I have. I'm done knitting summer things, so the camisole that I showed this podcast will be the last one of this year. But yeah, I feel like we're getting a little bit more into autumn things and winter things. Definitely because I am not using my heater that much this winter. It is very nice to have a lot of sweaters and winter clothing. So yeah, I'm definitely going to make a lot of those this winter, and I'm excited to share that with you. Now, for all the people who like it, I will do a little bit of a more personal section, which is not that much focused on knitting. So if you like that, please stay. If you are just here for the knitting, thank you for watching anyways. Yeah, the first thing that I want to talk about is I'm doing a lot of weight training, as I told a while back, and it's going very well. I really do like it, and I'm trying a lot of different places to do it. Like, I have a subscription where I can go to a lot of different gyms around the city and follow their classes or just work out there. And the last few times I did a lot of boxing, which was really cool, and I felt really cool as well when I was doing it. So yeah, that's actually one of the things that I'm really getting a routine in now, which is really nice. And yeah, it really is nice to have a little bit of a structure and feel good and take care of yourself. Yeah, so that's really nice. And I've been trying to have some quality time with friends as well. I went to Barcelona, of course, as you may have heard. and I'm trying to read a little bit more, because that's also like a workout for your brain, I feel like. Also, I'm still applying for jobs here and there, and it is a journey, but we'll get there at one point. I actually did a test for an interview, and I think it was like an intelligence and personality test, and I filled it in, and I was like, yeah, how much can they actually make a profile? Like, I thought the results would be like very general, like you like working alone, or you like working together with people, or you're more of a structured person. But it was very detailed, and they hit everything right on the spot, so it was a bit scary. But also it made a lot of things clear for me about what kind of stuff I should be looking for that fits my personality and needs. So it was definitely an eye-opener for myself as well. So next week I will discuss it with the person from this company. So I'm very excited to hear what they have to say about it, because it described me better than I think I would have been able to. So yeah, that's also something fun that I did this week actually. And for the rest, yeah, I'm just living the same life as always. I don't think except for Barcelona, of course, I did that much of exciting things. So yeah, I think I will just keep it at that. And oh yeah, I found a really funny series. It is called The IT Crowd, and it is a very old series, I think from the 90s. And I feel like I've never laughed so hard as I did with this series. So if you're looking for something to watch while knitting, this is a really good recommendation from me, because I have enjoyed it so much until now. But yeah, that will be it actually for this podcast. I will wrap it up here. I want to thank you for watching, if you're still here, and I hope you enjoy the rest of your day. And yeah, if you liked it, please give it a like, of course. If you want to see more of me and keep updated with my knitting journey, please subscribe. And yeah, I hope to see you next time.